Hey, what's up, guys? Back again with another vlog. It's 12:03 in the morning right now. And today was a pretty good day. There's a lot of snow today, so I had to shovel the snow twice today. Um, but it was all right. The first time was a bit exhausting because the snow was heavy, but the second time was much better. Um, Today was pretty boring, not gonna lie. I, as promised, I did module 3. I'm basically done all of it. I'm doing a couple of optional readings at the moment, so I'm done all the main stuff, but I willingly chose to do the optional readings. So I'm working through that right now. I'm just going through a lot of unnecessary stuff. Um, I'm looking at like stuff from Cindy Sherman for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what this has to do with English literature. But her work is kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. I haven't gotten to the part where it's explained why I'm looking at this stuff because it's not even literature, it's just photographs. But it was cool, and I kind of got addicted to looking at her artwork just because it's pretty cool. And then I was reading about uh, Sarah Bartman, and that I was really interested in because it was like it's basically about this like lady who got this black woman who had like a particularly big behind, a big rear, um and she was like put into like a freak show in England, and she was like taken into slavery basically. And it was just like messed up, like how mistreated she like I don't even know how to explain it. um Basically her entire family dies, or gets killed, and then she gets taken in by Dutch colonists into slavery. She's transported to England, um, and becomes basically like put into a freak show because she has a big ass, um, and with the promises of getting paid, and she was basically just like sexualized and over exaggerated. She was treated as an animal basically. Um, I'm trying to remember what the I can't remember what it was. There was a specific name that she went by. Um, it was something Venus. What was it? Something Venus. I'm going through it right now. The Hottentot Venus. That's what it was. Which Hottentot basically is like a discriminatory word, which basically means like a mix between human and ape. So she was basically like treated as like she wasn't even a human, and she was just like put into a cage to dance and like be looked upon by the public, and she's like wearing very little clothes and stuff, and she died at like the age of 26 or something due to alcoholism or one something else I don't exactly remember. But like it was interesting to read about because there's kind of like a weird divide between she enjoyed being, or I wouldn't say she enjoyed it, but she willingly chose to stay as um, a slave, basically. And she willingly chose to stay because of the promises that she would be filthy rich. So she chose to stay in this little like act of theirs, and she was always like looked upon, sometimes treated like with disgust, but she was treated like as a celebrity because at the time like beauty standards were like the bigger your ass, the more beautiful you were. So she was treated as like a beautiful person, but for the wrong reasons, you know? Like what happened was obviously wrong, but for her it ended up being like a good thing to some extent because it gave her like recognition as a celebrity, and she, was making money and stuff. Supposedly she was supposed to be making money, but I don't know exactly how that worked out, if she was actually being paid or not. Um, but the consequences of that was, the stereotypes and the effects of her representation to the wider and future generations of African women, and how they're perceived as inferior or grotesque, even, and that these were like the expectations of like African women's bodies, and that like they were considered, not not the same as white women, which is crazy. Um, all because of like these different body standards. Because like she was just like a regular woman, right? She was like a regular African woman, um, but by like European standards, she was perceived as like extravagant, like freakish, like grotesque, and she was seen with all these different mannerisms, and she was like basically like a zoo animal. Like that's what she was literally in a cage. She wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom. She had to like defecate and urinate in her own cage, and she was with like a baby rhinoceros or something in the cage, and then she had to like play, like she had to like dance and stuff, and she was considered like the Hottentot Venus, Venus being like the goddess of love. But obviously she wasn't treated with that much respect, because when she died, within 48 hours, her entire body basically got disassembled for scientific examination, which it was like very scientifically and racially messed up, because it was like back when racial science was like a thing. So it was like she, like the scientists that studied her body, they like there was this one naturalist guy, I forgot what his name was, who like boiled her bones, picked apart her brain, and like pickled her genitals, um and then it was all put on display in a museum. He made like a wax mold of her genitals as well, and like her entire body. And then her body, her dead body, and her organs and everything was just put on display on a museum in a museum. And it was like that for like 70 years or something crazy, until like 1976 or something, where they were like, hey, can we actually like not do this? Um, and then eventually in 2002, she got a proper burial back in South Africa. Um, I forget what the exact location was. It was like the Goots Gutom River or something. I don't remember the name, but she got her like proper burial like in 2002, which is crazy. Over 200 years since, basically her death. Uh, so that's kind of crazy to think about how long that took. But now she's basically like a respected, heroic figure. Um, and I forget what the university was. It was like the University of like Cape Cod or something. I don't remember the name, but it was like a university in like South Africa, I believe. That like made a memorial hall in her name and stuff, and like she's basically like a revered figure now, because her sacrifice essentially like gave rise and attention to the discrimination and inequality of, you know, Black women's bodies and the lack of control and respect and the dehumanization of them. And it was like crazy. But her, like, the way she was represented eventually paved the way for a better future, which kind of sucks that she had to go through that and all that stuff, but at least she got the recognition that she deserves. So that's what I've been researching today and going through. This is all optional reading that I did. So it was really interesting because we don't even know her actual name. Sarah isn't her real name. It was the name given to her by the Danish colonists or the Dutch colonists. I think it was Dutch. That like they gave her that name basically. So you don't actually know her like African name, which sucks, because her name is literally just like a representation of being sold as like a sex slave essentially, because her name, the name Sarah at that time, was representative of a slave, and be a slave who's considered like beautiful or something. Actually, let me go search it up. I'll be back. Okay, so yeah, Sarah is a name using Cape Dutch, commonly referred to show familiarity, endearment, and representative of a sign of affection. But it also marked her as a servant, so essentially a slave. And then Bartman, her last name, means bearded man. So like her name is basically just like a sign of affection, but also then her last name means bearded man in Dutch. So that's kind of sad that we don't even know her real name. But at least she's got some semblance of like being laid to rest and getting the representation that she deserves. And it was in E Cape, the location where she got buried, which was in South Africa. Yes. Yeah, South Africa. So yeah, that was my research today. Tomorrow I'll probably finish like the last stuff about the Cindy Sherman stuff, which I still don't understand why this is here. Like, why am I researching Cindy Sherman? It has nothing to do with what we're reading. I mean, obviously her work is influential, but it seems a bit different from what we're learning in class. So like, I guess it has to do with the way that her artwork is preserved with like gender studies and stuff like that. But anyways, this vlog is going on for far too long. Yeah, that was my day basically. I also napped for like a good 4 hours today because I was just like tired and I didn't really have anything else to do. So yeah, chill day overall. Just going away at my work, which is nice. So yeah, that was about it for today's vlog. Talk to y'all tomorrow. See ya.